In ancient Rome, women, whether free or enslaved, held various roles such as empresses, priestesses, goddesses, shop owners, midwives, prostitutes, daughters, wives, and mothers. However, they were excluded from public life and lacked representation in historical records. Except for rare instances like the poetry of Sulpicia or graffiti from a woman in Pompeii calling to her lover, our knowledge of these women largely derives from the writings of elite Roman men. As in many societies, women's worth in ancient Rome was largely determined by their relationships with their fathers and husbands, with most women being married by their mid-teens. They could not vote, participate directly in political or military matters, or hold official positions in the governance of the Republic and later the Empire. Nevertheless, glimpses of women, typically those of significant wealth, education, and social standing, show them subtly claiming new powers and rights. They often did this by influencing the men around them, taking on religious roles, or in rare cases, achieving a degree of legal and economic autonomy. What ancient Roman men wrote about women. She is highly intelligent and a diligent housewife, and her dedication to me is a testament to her virtue, wrote the scholar Pliny the Younger about his teenage bride Calpurnia, who was around 15 years old and approximately 25 years his junior when they married. Pliny also praised his wife's remarkable ability to memorize his writings. Others, however, were far less flattering in their descriptions of women. The poet Ovid, notable in the early empire, claimed that women's primitive sexual desires made them irrational. The politician and lawyer Cicero reminded a jury that their ancestors had placed women under the control of guardians due to their perceived weak judgment. Marcus Porcius Cato, a highly respected statesman of Republican Rome, cautioned his fellow citizens against treating women as equals, arguing that such treatment would lead women to become their superiors. The satirist Juvenal, in his infamously misogynistic Sixth Satire from the 2nd century AD, expressed some of the harshest views. He criticized women for avoiding risky but worthwhile endeavors, accused them of promiscuity, and found them most irritating when they expressed intellectual opinions. He also lamented the presence of a mother-in-law, claiming that no domestic harmony was possible as long as a man's wife's mother was alive. The model Roman matron. According to both the written and unwritten legal and social codes of Rome, the ideal Roman woman was a matron who spun her own cloth, managed her family's affairs, provided her husband with children, ensured the household was well maintained, and exhibited appropriate modesty. Women who deviated from this ideal often became social outcasts. Throughout much of Roman history, women lacked the right to their own names, typically adopting a feminine version of their father's family name. For example, the daughters of Gaius Julius or Marcus Terentius would be named Julia and Terentia, respectively. If there were multiple daughters, they would be distinguished by suffixes: Julia Major for the eldest, Julia Minor for the second, and Julia Tertia for the third. Religion opened the doors. While ancient Roman society was predominantly male-dominated, the pantheon of Roman gods was more balanced. Of the three supreme deities venerated by the Romans, only Jupiter, the king of the gods, was male. The other two were Juno, the chief goddess and protector of the empire, and Minerva, Jupiter's daughter, who was the goddess of wisdom and war. Among the city's most important figures were the Vestal Virgins, the priestesses of Vesta. These 6 young women, chosen before puberty, were required to remain chaste for 30 years. Their sacred duties included maintaining the hearth fire in Vesta's temple, a task believed to be vital for Rome's survival, and safeguarding the wills of Rome's wealthiest and most prominent citizens, including Julius Caesar. The religious importance of the Vestal Virgins endowed them with significant power and influence, which they sometimes wielded, such as when they intervened to save a young Julius Caesar from the dictator Sulla. Roman women piggybacked on male power. Despite their extremely limited public roles, several astute women from the elite class in ancient Rome managed to carve out significant influence alongside their male counterparts. One of the earliest prominent female figures in the Roman Republic was Cornelia, daughter of the renowned general Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus. Educated in the household of a military and political leader, she became an influential figure during her marriage and widowhood. Cornelia declined several marriage proposals, including one from Egyptian pharaoh Ptolemy VIII, dedicating herself instead to raising her 3 surviving children. She strongly supported her sons, the Gracchi brothers, in their populist reforms, offering public backing and private guidance through her letters. May Jupiter not for a single instant allow you to continue in these actions, nor permit such madness to come into your mind, she wrote to her younger son, Gaius Sempronius Gracchus. Although both sons were eventually assassinated by conservative factions, Cornelia remained respected for her intellect and dedication to her family and the state. Faustina the Younger was another influential woman, surrounded by imperial power from birth. The daughter of Emperor Antoninus Pius, she married the future Emperor Marcus Aurelius at 15 and bore 14 children, including the future Emperor Commodus. One of the few women granted the title Augusta, Faustina earned the military's respect by accompanying her husband on campaigns and was beloved by her husband, who titled her Mater Castrorum, or Mother of the Camp. Upon her death, Marcus Aurelius mourned deeply, deified her, and established schools for orphaned girls in her honor. Powerful women faced backlash. The more influential a woman became, the more likely she was to face resistance from men. Faustina the Younger, for instance, had her share of critics. Livia, the wife of Rome's first emperor Augustus, wielded significant influence over her husband. According to Suetonius, Augustus often sought her counsel on various matters, sometimes valuing her advice over that of his official advisors. Despite her dedication to traditional feminine activities like weaving, Livia faced severe criticism. The historian Tacitus harshly criticized her in his Annals, describing her as a real catastrophe to the nation who exerted such control over an aging Augustus that he exiled his only surviving grandson. Rumors eventually circulated that she had poisoned not only Augustus's grandsons, but also Augustus himself. The powerful women around Emperor Nero encountered even greater hostility. Agrippina, his mother and ardent supporter, skillfully ascended to power primarily through marriage and possibly murder, earning the esteemed title of Augusta. After securing Nero's position as emperor and acting as his regent, she was accused of orchestrating the murders of his rival stepbrother Britannicus and his stepfather, Emperor Claudius, her third husband. Nero ultimately conspired to kill Agrippina as he did his wife Poppaea, who had also exerted considerable influence over him. Changes in status. The age of Augustus brought significant changes to the status of women. While unmarried women faced severe penalties and the laws against adulterous women were strengthened, the Julian laws also provided women who had at least 3 children with exemption from male guardianship. Despite being viewed through a predominantly male perspective, the humanity and diversity of these women still come through. Over the centuries, women in ancient Rome gradually stepped out from the shadow of their male-dominated society and the self-sacrificing ideals imposed on them. Although many of their names are lost to history, their stories can be pieced together from the fragments of letters and inscriptions they and their families left behind.